What's going on, everybody? We are back with another live episode of Dynasty Theory, only at DD Fantasy Football. I'm John Bauer. Find me on X at the Bauer Club. We got Coach Dan Dynasty. Dan, what's going on, man?
Hey man, fresh off some Duke heartbreak. So it's just great to talk football and get my mind off it tonight. You guys picked a nice hot topic tonight that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time going over some veterans, some lower value players. Tonight, we're going to spend some time talking about top 36 dynasty assets that we're looking to go after. We also got Mitch Sorensen. Don't worry, Mitch, I didn't forget about you. At DynoMC on X. What's up?
You're good. It's a fun time of year. I know you're in a startup right now. Dan just missed out on signing up for that startup. I am in middle of a rookie draft right now. I've already done one rookie draft auction. So it's definitely time for all of these different values to come playing a part in everything.
Yeah, it's obviously we have rookie fever is upon us, but it is so interesting seeing the dynamic this time of year when you're taking part in a startup and there's folks that have rookie drafts going on and trying to weigh the risk versus the upside and how do we think the NFL draft is going to play out. So there's a lot to digest. The chat's already going, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying this last week. I love doing the live shows because the chat has been absolutely phenomenal. I see Dynasty Dustin. I see Jimmy, Dan, Garrison, Big Diaz, Dynasty Dave, Kevin, what's up? Sean, I see you creeping up there. Hey, if you're watching the show, make sure you hit that like button below. And I know you already subscribed to the channel with notifications on. But like I said, we're going to spend some time tonight talking about 6 top 36 dynasty assets that we're looking to trade for right now. And it's always tough because oftentimes you'll hear everybody, including us, talk about players that we're looking to buy low, we're looking to sell high, but every once in a while, you get those players that you're looking to invest in, even they may be at their peak and coming off of a massive contract. Mitch, Trey McBride, he was a guy that you wanted to talk about a little bit tonight. Age 25, like I said, gets the massive tight end contract. When you look at the Trinity score over there at ddfantasyfootball.com, which I remind everybody every single week, it is a combination. It is, looking at air yard market share, yards after catch per reception, and then target share. So how are these guys being utilized in their respective offenses? Well, Trey McBride, he was the Trinity score tight end 1. He's going 15th overall in tight end premium formats, coming off of over 1,000 yards, only 2 reception touchdowns, but that's okay. Anyway, Mitch, you're looking to invest in this gentleman.
I am. I mean, you already hit pretty much every major reason so far. A big thing is just to look at the stats. When we go through, we have a few wide receivers we're going to talk about tonight as well. Trey McBride is putting up top 6 wide receiver numbers as the tight end. When you're in tight end premium leagues, that is the unicorn stat. I love Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta probably isn't going to have a 110 catch season this upcoming year. He performs so well. And really just speaking about the Trinity score, I want to make sure that we hit on this because if you sign up on the website, I guarantee you, if you look at the top 5 tight ends in Trinity score, you look at the top 20 wide receivers, if you have 3 to 4 of them on your dynasty teams, you're going to do extremely well. It's the easiest stat. It's the keep it simple, stupid thing you could look at, right? I love using that all the time because it just, I don't have to go through 15 different things to figure out what wide receiver I think is going to be good. I can look on that and, oh, hey, it's already telling me what I want. So I use that all the time. With Trey McBride, he is giving you, like I brought up earlier, wide receiver 1 stats as a tight end. You do that in tight end premium, all of a sudden he's outscoring CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, all these guys that we love. He's outproducing them, and that's with getting 2 receiving touchdowns, I should say.
I was going to say, if he only had 2 receptions, this is a different conversation. Before we get into some of the trades, there is a question from Ashley and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you're looking to buy Trey McBride, are you looking to tear down from Bowers if you can get anything, if you have Bowers?
Here's my thing. I think they're in the exact same tier. So yeah, if you could tear down from Bowers and get
Get your flag out. Get your flag out.
for me, Brock Bowers had an awesome rookie season. Let's see him do it for multiple years in a row. That's all I'm saying. Like, I can trust McBride for the next 3 years is going to be great. Bowers is going to be great too. But if you're telling me, okay, well, let's say we're all in $1 million redraft tournament this upcoming season. Okay. Tight end premium, $1 million to the winner. Do you want Trey McBride on your team or Brock Bowers? I'm going Trey McBride, and he's only 3 years older than Brock Bowers. So in Dynasty, I don't think it's that big of a difference. We have George Kittle out there performing at age 32 now.
I get
Give it to him, JB.
But see, but it's not anti McBride. Like, I have him just one tier below. But looking at startups, looking at their market value on the market, there is a gap. And like, what would you need? Like, does a 26 second in a 12-team start 11 super flex, let's say 1.75 PPR for tight ends, does that get you there to move from Bowers to McBride?
As of right now, a 25 second mid, not 26.
Well,
let's go with the
26.
205. Let's go with the 205.
Okay.
2020. Yeah, I make that deal.
Dan?
For a second with McBride, did I hear that right?
Yeah, 205, we're calling it.
I don't care if it's 201. No.
How high does that have to go for you, Dan? And that's why I love these conversations, because you get different perspectives.
I mean, Mitch, I already put the Hall of Fame jacket on Brock Bowers. I know you said one season.
Of course you have.
We're sending him right to Canton, buddy. But you know, I want to say there's a Kyler Murray factor, but Geno Smith isn't exactly lighting the world on fire. But I think Brock Bowers is the number one wide receiver in Las Vegas, where I think Kyler's trying to figure out how to support Harrison and McBride and can struggle to do so. So, JB, you said it earlier. You had Bowers in one tier, McBride in the next tier. And I agree. It's not like astronomical or anything, but I want Bowers. Give me that number one wide receiver. I want to have him for a lifetime and be done. As we look at ADP startup, and you know, Mitch has this great graph that he shared with us in our Discord as we're preparing for this show. Bowers is in that first round. McBride's going in round 2. So like, if I can't get Bowers, my fallback plan is hoping to get McBride. And then if I don't get McBride, I'll just figure out tight end. But so a second round pick just doesn't do anything for me to move off of Brock Bowers. First round pick, I got to put my heart aside and I think go with it.
Assuming, you know, we're completely ignoring the trade factor in startups, depending on where you are, I think really puts you in the position for a Brock versus Trey McBride conversation. Like, if you have anywhere from the 110, and then obviously you would have the 203 if it's just a typical snake draft. Like, you could probably get McBride in tight end premium formats. Again, we're calling it 1.75 PPR for tight ends, PPR across the board. I think you could get that, you know, in that 203, 202, 201. I see Frank's comment. I just took McBride at the 201 in a startup. I mean, he's going 15th. Is that what we said here? 15th overall in tight end premium format. So like that's exactly the spot. But if you have that 104, 105, 106, then you get in the conversation for Brock. And Mitch, if you have that gap from a startup pick perspective, I think you can certainly push for a little bit more.
I mean, sure. Can we? Sure. It's because we hype up rookies that do well. It's what we do. We have a rookie that comes out. He had an outstanding, fantastic year without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we do in Dynasty? We hype him up to the point to where he has to be close to that to continue having that value, or someone else is going to overtake him. I just think they are so close weekly, and I just have more faith in McBride producing it again than what I have in Bowers right now.
Let me just intervene there a little bit. So last year when Bowers did that, I always believe that year 1 to year 2 jump so big. Like that year 1, you're just trying to figure out how to physically make it through 17 games. You know, you're learning how to play in the NFL. You're learning, everything's a learning curve. and Bowers did what he did. He did that with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Now, so as I said before, hey, Geno's not lighting the world on fire. That's still an upgrade, no doubt, on those two quarterbacks. And now he goes into year 2 knowing the system and knowing how to make in the NFL. Like, I think those stats could take a little bump. I mean, I guess with McBride, maybe you hope for some more touchdowns, Mitch, but I don't know if Kyler could do that.
But even to play devil's advocate and to play both sides here, listen, I'm in the middle here. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
I am trying to bridge that gap and just state facts. Even with just the 2 receiving touchdowns, Trey McBride still put up a monster season.
He did.
Monster. But again, like we've talked about, you have that rookie coming in. You have the 3-year age gap. I mean, Trey McBride, he's 25 years old. He might as well have one foot in the grave, right?
But what it seems to be with you two.
But see, and this is going to tie in perfectly with our trending fantasy topic. I'm saying, hey, I think you can get a little bit more. And Mitch called me and Dan out on those show notes and said, I'm not like you two. I don't need to always get that little extra. And I took offense to that.
Come on, that's fair. That's fair.
It is fair. Frank says McBride averaged more points per game than Bowers last season. Yeah. McBride had a fantastic season, but looking at it from the rookie coming in, and I love the question because we didn't think we're really going to talk about Trey McBride versus Brock Bowers and the advantage and the difference. So let's get into some of the Trey McBride trades here. And Mitch, we'll start with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 12-team start 10 superflex, full PPR, and an extra 0.75 for tight ends. So 1.75 PPR. It's 103 and 206 for Trey McBride.
Trey McBride smash.
Same.
Yeah, this is I was surprised by that. I'm wondering if it's a situation where maybe one manager had a lot of options at tight end. That's really the only
so
way I
if
can
you
kind of
go
justify
on,
it.
If you go on Dynasty Danny, look it up. There are weird trades with tight ends. I mean, there was one that I didn't include. It was like Tucker Kraft in the 112 for Trey McBride. I'm like, I'm not even putting that on the show notes because it's not close. I mean, the rest of these were as close as I could get to where I would be like, hey, it's actionable to talk about.
All right, next one. Same formats outside of the number of starters. It's start 11, still an extra 0.75 PPR for tight ends. Brian Thomas in 309 or Trey McBride in 402. Mitch?
Trey McBride.
Same here. You know, the small pick 4th to 3rd doesn't do anything for me. I think it's just value the position's the difference here. So I would take McBride before Thomas in a startup.
Yeah, it's going to be the positional scarcity. You know, in the formats where it's an extra point for tight end, where we're going to get into that next. I have Trey McBride and Brian Thomas tiered together, but it really isn't going to fluctuate too much going to the 0.75. Once we get down to 0.5, I would switch to Brian Thomas.
Same here.
Mitch, would you? Okay.
No, the reason for that is in 0.5, that's a huge premium still for McBride, for Bowers, for Kittle. That is huge for them. It means absolutely nothing for the Cole Kmets of the world, right? And so for me, it makes me want McBride even more because it makes him even more of a unicorn in that setting because it helps him out so much getting 111 receptions compared to the 60 reception Kyle Pitts out there.
You know, and I'll even say in hindsight, I think you're right there, Mitch, because I always think, you know, if you lose out on Thomas in the 3rd round, you look at these guys that are going. I am so happy to make Harrison, McConkey, you know, one of those guys, my number 1 wide receiver. If I don't get McBride there in the 2nd, now I'm kind of worried. You know, I love Laporta, but obviously production was a little bit of a worry last year.
12 teams, start 11, full PPR, extra full point for tight ends now. Mitch, Trey McBride, or Brock Purdy and David Njoku?
Trey McBride. And I promise I picked like the highest I could get for Trey McBride on these trades.
I mean, especially the 103 I thought was a little bit light,
mm-hmm.
but the Brian Thomas one, I think there's folks out there that would prefer Brian Thomas. I think there's folks out there that, especially if in need of a quarterback, would be interested in the Brock Purdy, David Njoku side. I'm not saying you cherry picked.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I love that one too. I'll figure out quarterback. I'm not going to miss Brock Purdy.
I also will take Trey McBride here. And then,
this one's fun, right?
All right. If you're watching live, if you're watching back, I think this is the one. This is the money shot right here. 101 and 103 for Trey McBride and Bucky Irving. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR, 0.75 tight end premium. So you're getting the extra 0.75. Again, that's 101 and 103 for Trey McBride and Bucky Irving.
This one's so hard because I think McBride clears Genty just a little bit, but I think the 103 clears Bucky Irving. In my view, I know Dynasty loves Bucky Irving, but for me, he does. So it's, what do you do here? Do you go with the running back? But it comes down to, I think there's 4 to 5 really good young running backs in the league. And I think there's probably 2 or 3 good young tight ends in the league right now. So I'll go Trey McBride, even though I don't love the Bucky Irving side of it.
I'm going to edge the other way on this one a little bit. Value the position of just getting Genty in a quarterback. That's the way I would view that one there. So I'll lean that way.
I'm going to go picks here as well, but I mean, I see several comments already. Like, it's close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you can see that. Mitch saying McBride, I'm saying the picks. Dan kind of hedging a little bit, you know, but I think the main takeaway here is 3 out of those 4 trades, and these are over the last 6 days, pulling up on dynastydaddy.com. You see that there still is that potential in these heavy tight end premium leagues, whether it's 0.75 or the full point extra for tight ends, where he is somewhat attainable. And that gap from a perception standpoint, from an overall market value standpoint, between Brock and Trey, we're all on a first name basis now, by the way, but that gap between them, it's perceived to be massive. And I don't think it should be nearly as wide as it is. So Mitch, I appreciate you bringing Trey McBride here to the table. And Dan, you're going high end as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love the comment in our notes. Mitch says Dan's trading up, and he's trading up aggressively. So it's always tough to look to invest in running backs at this point in the offseason, especially pre-NFL draft. But you're looking to go after, you know, we talk about a unicorn in the tight end game, a unicorn as a running back. Bijan Robinson, 10th overall in startups, even with the tight end premium, hit almost 1,500 rushing yards, over 400 receiving yards, 15 total touchdowns, just a massive year in 2024. So Dan, what are you looking to do here? Obviously you're looking to buy, but how aggressive are you looking to be?
So this is my strategy in general. And again, this isn't necessarily for everyone. All right. I've seen how you guys draft, other smart people in leagues that we're in, and you can win Dynasty a few different ways. We've talked about that. I love that Mitch opened the show with McBride and that angle of going after a tight end, because in trading up in these first couple rounds in a startup, is a path there where I would trade up for a tight end. You know, Browers would be my personal choice because I'm a Georgia fan, but you know, hey, in round 2, if I don't get Bowers, I could see that path. I picked Bijan as one of my 2 guys tonight because in every startup draft, I want to make sure I solidify the quarterback position. Love to get a quarterback in the first round or 2. Love to get a running back or receiver in the first round or 2. Honestly, I'd love to get a quarterback, running back, and a receiver in the first 2 rounds, but I've only got 2 picks. So how do I do that? I aggressively trade in, willing to mortgage my future and give up a first round pick next year, maybe more. You guys have seen me do this in almost probably all of our startups, because there's a good chunk of our league that likes to build the other way. They want the draft picks next year. They're willing to trade down and get some picks in the 5th, 6th, 7th round in that range. JB, I think every single draft, you're one of those guys that makes me an offer in that same wheelhouse We normally don't land on something, JB, because I get a little greedy and I normally get just a little something extra off that other guy that wants that first, maybe just a little bit more. So Bijan's one of those guys. When I look at this year's draft, it's Bijan, it's Gibbs, and it's Genty. And I don't want to leave a draft without one of those guys if I could find a way to get it. Now, I'm going to have one pick in rounds in 1 through 12 there. That might be my first round pick, and I might trade in to go another position. Maybe it is a Bowers. Maybe it is a quarterback. Or maybe I'm one of those guys in the beginning that got a Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels or Lamar. So now I'm trading in to get that running back or receiver. I just absolutely love Bijan. So he's the guy I picked. But the two guys I talk about tonight, if any of our listeners or any of you guys said, hey, I like your theory, but I like this other guy, hey, that's awesome. Go for your guy. I'm just telling you who I like first. But if it was Mitch doing the same strategy and he said, hey, I want to trade up for Gibbs, rock on, man. Get your young running back that you're going to have for a long time.
Mitch, was it last year in startups that you kind of were looking at that approach if you had a pick in the back end of the first?
Yeah, I tried to get, I have a lot of teams. Sadly, Breece Hall hasn't worked out, but I had him, in that same tier. But him, Bijan, and Gibbs were the guys that I was just attacking nonstop. And now I have a lot of teams to where I have at least 2 of those backs. And usually I have if I don't have one of them, I have Achane right there next to him. So I love that approach. And I still think it's really feasible to do it right now. I know we have the rookie hype of the running back class coming out 25. Hey, it's going to be extremely deep now. Let's see how it goes, because I know right now for sure we have at least 3 to 4 really solid backs that are like 23 years old in the league. And we haven't been able to say that since like McCaffrey and Barkley came out. That's how long it's been.
Yeah. And we always talk about it. We start to get these younger backs that step in and they're high end backs, but then that 2017 class is starting to fade out. Very few remaining pieces still producing for fantasy purposes, but you got Bijan 23, Gibbs 23, Achane 23, Genty 21, Breece Hall 23. And then you start to get into Barkley, who is just a unicorn, an absolute monster. JT, even though I think some people are kind of looking at him a little bit differently in just the pure upside that he's offering, even though I just took Jonathan Taylor in the startup I'm in that we mentioned earlier. But you look at Bijan Robinson, running back 3 on a per game basis here in 2024. And this is after kind of an underwhelming 2023, but part of that was the Arthur Smith effect, right? I don't think it was necessarily anything to do with Bijan. So you look at Bijan Robinson and his pedigree and his 3-down skill set and the ability to be a workhorse. I don't know that many people are questioning that. The big question is just how willing are we to really invest in those high-end running backs?
Yep.
Do we want to go, kind of that next tier of Kyron, James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving? Do we want to start to get a little gross with Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, those types of running backs? So I think roster construction and just the way you approach the position is going to say a lot whenever when we're running through these trades and folks in the live chat here are looking at the way they would approach it. It's very interesting. And this is one, this is a player that's going to be a fun one to go through these trades. So Dan, I want to start with you. Bijan.
I appreciate the callback.
Oh, damn. Anybody not necessarily looking at their screen while you're watching this, or if you're listening back in the podcast feed, we got Evie back in the chat based on Mitch's pounding the table last week. He says, I bet my grandma's house on Cam Ward to Cleveland. Is she
looks
cooked?
like grandma's getting 100 houses. That's just what's going to happen now.
Man. It's like in Happy Gilmore when she's like, I would have paid my bills, but I didn't have any money. Well, that's tough for Gam there. All right. Bijan Robinson or 326 first round picks and a 26 third. It's 12 teams, start 11, full PPR, 0.75 tight end premium. Are you willing to invest all that draft capital in what today is seen as kind of a lackluster class? And people are already saying, get out of 26, get into 27.
Yeah, I don't really see there ever being a total lackluster class where 3 first doesn't have a lot of value, unless my league research there said that's like almost guaranteed to be like 10, 11, and 12, which I highly doubt. As much as I love Bijan and I'm beating the drum, that's hard to turn down 3 firsts in one draft. So I'm going to go with the 3 firsts.
I agree with Dan. It's what I know I could do with those 3 first. Like we said, there's some players who don't want to trade up for Bijan, who don't want to pay that huge price to get there. There's a lot of people who want first no matter what happens.
Is there any concern with a trade like this that you're investing? And again, like there are certainly secondary trades that can take place after this. It's not, you got to trade for the assets and you got to sit there and not do anything. But is there any concern with investing so heavily in one draft class? Does that make you a little hesitant at all?
No.
There's too much college talent. Like you look at history, how long we've been doing this, guys. We've got I think we're going on like year 5 of mock drafts and pre and post drafts. And there's never been one draft that we haven't had a lot of talent, even though, yes, we can make arguments of some being stronger or weaker than others.
Okay. All right. I'm up in the air on this one. But it's interesting, though, because how many teams, unless you were in a startup and you kind of built for the future and now things are kind of playing out and really coming into form the way you were hoping, how many people can really move 326 first? Like, that's tough, right?
This is rare.
Like, maybe it's a 26, 27, and then a piece that could equal out there. But I would be very interested just in general to see what that team looked like. But, I think we all have had teams. Well, maybe not Dan, because I say maybe not Dan, because the way you approach startups is certainly different than what Mitch or I would do, or a lot of the DD fantasy listeners. But we've all had teams where we try to, go with the productive struggle approach, if you will, or just punt in year 1. And then once it's time to be aggressive, you show that selective aggression that the Cowboys show in free agency every year. They're still waiting to show where that's, where they can be selective. I guess they're still waiting for it, but
hey, they're doing okay this year. This year's different than last year of free agency. There's been some activity, but I see in the chat there too, Frank mentioned, I was thinking about this before, he traded CD for Gibbs recently. And I think, roster dependent, maybe consider that. I would rather, like, if I had a choice in the middle of the first round or middle late, I'm taking the younger stud receiver over the running back. Normally, I'd rather build with the young receiver than I'm gonna have for 10 years or I know it's an assumption.
You're always saying saying 10 years. Give me this crystal ball.
But like,
and you think Lamb's going to be playing until he's 35? The
Chases and the Jeffersons and the Lambs, I just think there's more longevity than the average running back career in most cases. The thread on the tires gets worn down quicker for running backs. But so again, I want to have my cake and eat it both. I would probably draft the young receiver and then I would trade in for the running back.
One of those wide receivers is different than the other two.
I'm just
Maybe.
Fascinated
Close.
that Dan said I'm trying to have my cake and eat it both. Yeah, you guys are always saying new phrases. You know me, Mitch. What Mitch messages me
because we've had this conversation this week.
Mitch messages me and he says, "Hey, do you want me to pull some of the trades onto the notes here that we're going to talk about, or to like just go through Dynasty Daddy in general? Do you want me to pull them from Sleeper?" And of course I had to correct him. And I said, "You mean Dynasty Daddy, right? Yeah, throw him in." He's like, "You knew what I meant." I'm that irritating guy. I get it. All right, Dan. Bijan Robinson for Kyron Williams in the 107. 12 teams, start 10, full PPR, extra point for tight end. Again, Bijan for Kyron in the 107.
Start 10 helps things here. I want the star-studded lineup. I think at some point the wheels do fall off Kyron. I don't think it's now, but a lot sooner than Bijan. So give me Bijan.
Same, Bijan.
All right, Bijan for Malik Neighbors, and it kind of
This
goes
was fun.
into what Dan just mentioned and Frank just mentioned with the CeeDee and Gibbs situation. Elite running back for elite wide receiver, 12 team, start 12, full PPR, and the tight end premium doesn't matter.
Pre-NFL draft, I'm going to take Bijan. I want to see who the Giants quarterback's going to be. I'd rather go with Bijan than a year of Russ Wilson with neighbors and that coaching staff getting fired. I need to see them draft a quarterback.
Yep, taking Bijan as well.
All right. And then the last one, you can see I just looked at the clock and realized where we are. So trying to speed up just a little bit because one of us keeps rambling. Dan, Brian Thomas and Mark Andrews for Bijan Robinson, 12 team, start 10, full PPR, extra 0.75 for tight ends.
Whew. Man, but it's pretty cool to watch Brian Thomas enter this conversation of he's skating on that elite, man, to those guys we're talking in the first round. But I'm still gonna hold tight here with Bijan and find a way to figure out the rest.
I'm going Bijan mainly just because how the dynasty community looks at Mark Andrews. It doesn't matter what Mark Andrews does. People are going to absolutely hate him at this point. So I'll just take the Bijan side for that reason.
All right, moving on here, and I'm going to try to be quick, but Devon Achane, age 23, going in the early third round of 12-team Superflex tight end premium leagues, 12 touchdowns last year, almost 1,500 scrimmage yards, puts up the 78 receptions. Last 2 years, when Tua is in the lineup, he's at 20 points per game. The 6 games that Tua has missed, he's at 8.6 points per game. So betting on Devon Achane, it is a bet on Tua staying healthy. Not sure how wise of a bet that is, but obviously when Tua is in, you get more touchdown upside. You get almost twice the target share, almost doubles up. 7 games over 25 PPR points, 25% of his games. He gives you an elite ceiling. He was 5th in points per game in 23, 6th in points per game in 24. And I know there is the injury concern with Devon Achane. We know that he's small. We know. But when he is on the field and when he has a competent quarterback, he has been electric. And you certainly get that discount from Bijan and Gibbs, who are going at the back end of the first in startups, versus Devon Achane, who's going in the third round. So kind of what we talked about with Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, if you were looking to pivot down, you should be able to get a substantial plus if moving off of Gibbs or Bijan. And I think even Genty, I think a lot of people, when I say a lot, probably 98% of folks, given the choice, would go Genty over Achane. I have them tiered together, but given the choice, I think I would as well, just because of the hype surrounding Genty. But any issues there, Dan?
To me, there's a teardrop there. Like after Bijan, Gibbs, and I'm putting Genty in that tier. I think they're 3 generational running backs, and then there's the rest. And believe me, I would like to draft an Achane if I'm looking at, hey, getting that running back in the 3rd, 4th. Hey, very good pick. But am I trading up for a JB? I don't know, man, because I'd be just as happy with like Barkley, Bucky Irvin, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor. I love Hampton when I'm hearing about him. So I just think there's a lot of choices.
But there's a lot of choices, but how many truly are giving you that week winning upside each and every single time he steps on the field? Asterisk.
I think all those guys potentially could, depending on how their team and their offense is kind of humming there. Like, hey, when the Colts are good, Jonathan Taylor's good. When the Jets are not good, Breece Hall's not as good. So I think it depends on the team. And I worry about Miami a little bit. I think that head coach is the next one to be on the hot seat in Miami there with Mike McDaniel. And that offense, I mean,
he's
Tyreek Hill drama. Where's it going with this offense? I've got to see it here. I'm a little worried.
And then right on cue, Dan already mentioned it, but then Ashley and Michael in the chat word about McDaniel's possible hot seat. Yeah,
you guys ready for a hot take? That's not really. I don't think it's that much of a hot take. I'm not worried about Tua being injured. It's not that I'm a Zach Wilson fan. It's they didn't have anyone to be a backup quarterback last year. I mean, they're throwing out there. Was it still Mike White last year? I don't remember. I mean, the quarterbacks they have, I think they traded for Huntley at some point, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, right? It's Zach Wilson is not a good starting NFL quarterback, right? As a backup, he gives you so much more than anyone they've had on the roster in the last 3 years.
Tyler Huntley, Skylar Thompson, and the formidable Tim Boyle. He stepped
Yeah,
in.
I mean, that's just what it was. I guess Mike White was like 2 years ago or whatever it was, but he at least Zach Wilson gives you just some confidence that the offense just isn't going to flat out go off the track. So I kind of agree with both of you, but I'm just saying Tua being out of the lineup, I think they could actually score more than 6 points now.
All right, and like me bringing Achane to this conversation, it's certainly not that I have him mixed in with Gibbs and Bijan. Like there is
you
that.
Like him at his price.
I like him at his price where he's going in the third round. So if you don't go,
You're going to find out how much you like him here in a second.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
I'm in the hallways at work this past week. All right. I work at Lackawanna College, and one of the instructors going into this year has season tickets for the Dolphins. Diehard guy, travels a few times a year, PA to Miami. And so I catch his ear and I was like, hey man, what's going on in Miami? They're not doing anything this offseason. He goes, I'm out. He goes, I sold my tickets. He goes, I watched that Hard Knocks. I'm disgusted with this head coach. I don't like what they're doing. And I really think that's the vibe, and it's so, I like that Zach Wilson thought in theory, Mitch, but I think there's a difference of Sean Payton getting the most out of Zach Wilson than maybe Mike McDaniel, but we'll see. That's
all right. Well, for these trades, I'm going to start, and then we're going to go Mitch, Dan, all the way through. First one up, 12 team, start 11, full PPR. Lamar Jackson. Like, you're going to start me off with a trade involving Lamar? Come on, man.
I promise I didn't do anything on
I
purpose with
know.
your guys' players. I did not.
Sure.
conspiracy
Lamar
theories
Jackson. Mitch is like, would you trade a 4th round pick in 27 for Trey McBride?
I wonder if you
What do
guys
think
have looked
about
at
it?
these trades, because I don't know if we're picking Achane on any of them.
I looked at them. Did I look at them? Come on. Lamar Jackson, the 303 for Devon Achane, Michael Penix in the 112. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR. I'm going Lamar Jackson here. But that's such an unfair one to throw at me to start. But
I
give
think
me
it's
Lamar.
a good starter. It's a good starter.
Lamar.
Like, Mitch, you're agreeing with Lamar?
Oh, of course.
All right. And Jerry, I see you in there. I appreciate you. We're going to get to that as soon as we run through these Achane trades. 12 teams, start 10, full PPR. Achane for the 104 and the 204, and there's an extra point for tight ends. I'm taking Achane. I would trade the 104 and the 204 for Devon Achane.
Yeah, I like the first. I have 4 rookies. I might like more than Achane. So if you want to give me the 204 with it, I'm going to take the package of picks.
I'm with Dan.
All right. Well, I got to see where I have the 104.
Because I think Genty and potentially Hampton, definitely Genty, but Hampton could be better than Achane. Or if you want to draft a quarterback with Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I'm okay losing out on Achane.
Okay.
Sorry,
right.
JB.
No. As typically happens, you guys back me into a corner, and I have to fend you off. I get it. Johnny's back into his dinosaur kick, so we were watching Jurassic World. I feel like Chris Pratt, like with the Raptors, and you're surrounding me. I can't, All right, Ashton Genty or David Montgomery and Devon Achane. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR.
These are good trades, man.
Where's the smash button there for Genty, man? Give me a huge smash and instant.
I'll take Achane.
I'm taking Ashton Genty.
Thank you, Mitch.
And listen, I know all the comments. Achane, he's a very polarizing prospect. I understand that. Player.
He's still a prospect. He's only been in the league for 3 years.
He's still a polarizing prospect. I was staring at Ashton Genty's name as I said that. And he's very divisive. And, if you're out on him, I certainly get that. And there is so much excitement and hype surrounding Ashton Genty. So with me saying the Achane and Montgomery and the start 11 coming into play a little bit there for me, but it's more pro Achane than anything as opposed to anti Ashton Genty. I know. Well, we got 2 Franks in here now. Come on. I can't deal with all the Franks. All right. 109, a 26 first, 311, and a 26 third for Devon Achane. 12 team, start 10, full PPR, extra point for tight end.
I think this is the first time you have a chance here, JB. So this is probably a smash for you. I would say it depends. That 26 first, who's it coming from? If it's like projecting to be a late first because this is a contending team,
well, the additional context is going to be.
I could see it going Achane.
And like Frank says, listen, Frank says, be right back. I got to send some Achane offers out. I mean, maybe only if I'm in your league. Maybe it's only going to work there. Oh, man. I'm going to take a beating in the comments with all of these. Well, the Lamar Jackson.
Only if you pick, though.
I said Achane.
Oh, you go. All right. I'll go Achane on this one, too.
Okay. So
you got some support there, JB.
All right. So I'll get bashed for 2. Well, probably 3 of them. And the only one that I'll maybe get some kudos for is the one where Achane is out the door. So I still really like him at his price. You get that elite.
That's his price.
That is his price, and I like him at it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Dan, CeeDee Lamb again. You're going.
No, hold on 1 second. We did get this. Let's hit that real quick.
Again, Jerry, thank you so much. 12 team super flex start 9 PPR. Lamar Jackson, Baker, Stafford, Bijan, Kyron, Mason, Jamar, Jefferson, Jennings, Andrews, 106, 109, 206, 209. Should he trade Stafford for my 27?
I think to get his 27 second back.
Okay. Also, and he moves 1 last year.
No.
Lamar, I'm hanging on to Stafford here because it is a start 9. It's going to deflate the value of the seconds a little bit. Still being a 12-team league, I'm not looking to move off of my quarterback 3 in this situation. It's kind of the perfect, like the way this quarterback room is built with Lamar, Baker, and Stafford. It's an elite quarterback, a very good quarterback, and then a good quarterback that is very cheap. And that's the way I want to have value in my quarterback 3, especially. So I'm not moving Stafford because then if you put yourself in a situation where you have to buy back into a player, you're probably going to end up paying more for less than what you would have done here. So I'm going to stick with Stafford.
Yeah, JB, I think Jerry also brings up a good strategy question here when you look at having 3 quarterbacks on your roster. I had a friend in another league that just literally yesterday asked me if he should trade Bryce Young, and it was like his 3rd quarterback, and he wasn't really getting anything great for it. And I think it's kind of, even though Stafford's older, man, we see this every year. If one of his starters gets hurt, then he's down to 1 quarterback, or, one of your opponents is going to need a quarterback at some point, and I guarantee you'll get something better for a 27 second later on. So, hey, not saying don't sell Stafford, Tony, but get a little more than a 27 second.
Yeah, real quick. I'll just echo what you both said. Is the problem is if you do lose one of your quarterbacks, you have to buy back into one. It's going to cost you more than a late second. I mean, that's what we're paying for when Mason Rudolph is the starter week 14 and you're in the playoffs and you need to score points. So keep Stafford. I mean, he's going to put up elite numbers this year.
Elite or very good?
Elite for a pocket passer. I mean, he's not going to pick up Jalen Hurts, but could he match Baker Mayfield? Yeah.
All right. I don't think that's crazy. You know me. I just like to clarify. All right. Dan, CeeDee Lamb, no surprise here. I don't know if it's homerism. Who knows? The Dallas Cowboy homer that lives in PA. CeeDee Lamb, age 26, Trinity score wide receiver 8 last year. Again, if you're just jumping in, if you haven't listened to anything else on the channel, or if you tune out the Trinity conversations, it's a combination of air yard market share, yard after catch per reception, and target share. So really showing how a player is utilized in their respective offenses. Startup He's going right around 112. You like him at that price still?
I love him. I mean, it was just a year ago that it was Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb in all different types of orders. I think Dak's going to be back in great shape. I think this offense is going to be better. They're going to get some weapons in the draft. But it's not just all about CD either here. Like, if your guy is Brian Thomas, if your guy is Sun God, if your guy is Puka, like any of those second-round guys, I would love to get him. Lamb is my guy. All right. But like I said, if your strategy is to get one of those other guys I mentioned, Mitch wants to go get Sun God. We talked about Brian Thomas tonight. We know there's some Puka fans. Hey, in the first round after Chase, JJ, and let's just say Neighbors is off the board and you need to get an elite receiver and these guys are going in the second round, this is that point in the draft where I'm still being active in the second round and I'm going to get my guy. And I have no reason not to believe CD's young. Give me my cowboy. I'm going to be aggressive trying to, trade up and get him.
And CeeDee Lamb is going to be a difference maker for the next 20 years.
You're catching on. There's another contract yet in CeeDee Lamb's future, and it's going to be another expensive one.
All right, Dan, let's start with you. 12 teams, start 12, full PPR, 0.75 PPR for the tight end premium. CeeDee Lamb for Rome Odunze, 26 first and 27 first.
There's a nice little offer here, and I don't think this is I can make an argument either way. I'm going to stick to my guns and take the Lamb side. It is one where I would ask for context always, hey, what's that 26 first, especially projected at 27's a little bit of ways. Again, I'd rather avoid getting into 27 drafts and trading my 27 so far out. But to get my boy Lamb, this is the kind of deal where you might just get my 27 first. We'll see, because I think you're getting a guy in Lamb that in 2027 is still going to be a stud. So give me the Lamb side, but fair offer.
And knowing how the community loves 27 first, I'm taking the 27 first, and then I'm probably trading it for double what its value is right now here in 6 months, because people are falling over themselves to get into that draft. So, I mean, that's the big, if this was a 26 first, I would probably lean towards the Lamb side. But that 27 first, it's valued higher than what 26 firsts are now, which is crazy. It's something we haven't seen in many years.
And I think with Keenan Allen out of town, you're getting a good guy back in Rome instantly too. So again, this is probably a little cowboy homerism here for me, but I like Mitch's take.
I'm going to take the package here. We've talked about this in the DD Fantasy Discord with Rome Odunze. I have my cross positional tiers in there, and there was a conversation about where I have Rome Odunze right now, and there certainly is not a ton to go off of. A lot of highlights from 2024, but you have the change with the coaching staff, Ben Johnson coming in, maybe Caleb Williams taking that next step forward. I know there's a lot of negative perception when it comes to Caleb in general, within a lot of circles in the Dynasty community. Keenan Allen gone, and not that it's everything, but you look at the unrealized air yards last year, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was fairly significant when you look at Rome Odunze. And, that's been a conversation with Chris Olave for a couple of years now. You get conversations with, a lot of those deeper threat guys getting those unrealized air yards. But with the context around the picks, like Mitch mentioned, the 27 first, with it being a start 12, I truly believe that Rome Odunze is going to take that next step. It's always tough to do something involving a superstar like CeeDee Lamb, fine at the price. I just don't love this package and giving that up in a move like this.
Respect that one.
Okay. All right. CeeDee Lamb or the 101 and the 304, 12 teams, start 11 PPR, extra point for tight ends.
The third doesn't mean too much to me here. I mean, it's nice to have, but really this is Lamb or Genty's the question. And I think it goes back to, it says I'd rather start my team with the elite receiver than I would draft Lamb before Genty. But there is a scenario if my roster's loaded at receiver, and I have Lamb in a lot of leagues, surprise, surprise. If it's one of them where I'm just stacked at receiver and I really am desperate for running back, I don't have an anchor, I could see it where you could take Genty and go that side. But I'll pick Lamb, but it's close.
Same.
Yeah, I'm Lamb. I don't think it's a drastic difference,
No,
but I still
not yet.
prefer not yet. I still prefer Lamb over Genty. Not yet. You could take that one of two ways. It could,
Mm-hmm.
who knows?
Could work both
All
ways.
right, Dan, CeeDee Lamb or Ricky Pearsall, JJ McCarthy, and a 26 first, 12 team start 11 full PPR 0.75 tight end premium.
And until we know the Vikings could unlock McCarthy, I'm Lamb here. I'll figure. I'll find another Ricky Pearsall. I'll get another 26 first, or I'm not worried about it. Give me Lamb.
Same.
I will go Lamb here as well. And it's like you look at the package of that Roma Dunze one, and I'm looking at 26 first. They're a wash. Obviously, there's different situations for both, but we don't know what they are. So it's Roma Dunze and a 27 first, or JJ McCarthy and Ricky Pearsall. I prefer the Roma Dunze side there. So I'm like right in between there. Take Lamb over this package. Take the first package over Lamb. Mitch taking the non-McCarthy side every time.
There might be a theme going here.
And then last one, CeeDee Lamb or Puka Nacua in the 112, 12 team start 11, full PPR, and then an extra point for a tight end. So if you so choose, Colston Loveland at that 112. That's critical information.
This is a fun trade, and I could easily see someone taking the other side. But there's just this little part of me with like Rams receivers and Puka and injuries, where I'm gonna still take the Lamb side, but and Puka's right there. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Like I would rather this be a Brian Thomas or Sun God than Puka. Like if it was one of those guys, and they're close. They're all the same tier. Guys, just my gut, just a little something help there. I'm going Lamb.
Puka. Puka. Yes, Puka.
Get your gut checked out. Or
112 is good though. That's a nice offer.
Maybe you got some stomach issues or something there, Dan. Check that gut out because I think it's wrong here.
Come on, man. You wanted Achane. I'm having some conviction. I want my guy. I want my guy. That's the price to get him. I'm willing to give it.
Man, yeah, this one.
It's a tough one. That's a sweet offer.
I certainly can live with that Roma Dunze one. If you wanted Lamb there, okay, I can live with that. I can't do it here. All right, well, another pretty high valued wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite 10th overall or 12th overall, whatever. What was Lamb? 12th. Nico Collins, Trinity score wide receiver 6 last year. In only 12 games, still put up over 1,000 yards, 7 receiving touchdowns, was one of the bright spots in an offense that is looking for more playmakers. So, Mitch, you like Nico Collins here at that 208-ish value, 20th overall when you look across the dynasty landscape.
I messed up on the graphic. He's 26. I forgot to put that on there, but that's fine. It doesn't change anything. So here's my thing with this Houston offense, right? The team's not going to be good, so they're going to have to throw a lot. That's really what I'm basing this off of. I'm thinking of looking at going to John's tiers and look at these other wide receivers and see which one can outperform the others just based on, hey, they might have to throw a lot because the team is not great on offense. They're trading away their offensive linemen for random picks. I mean, sure, whatever. But Nico Collins is just as talented as everybody else that we've mentioned so far tonight. We haven't brought him up on any of the trades, but you put him, BTJ, anybody else, he is just as talented as they are. And you're getting him at a discount, and you're getting him, like, think of what it was like going into the season in 24. Everyone loved Stroud. Everyone loved Nico. Everyone loved Diggs. We were all about it. And then they that offense kind of fell off a little bit. Now we're all like, maybe he's more like a wide receiver 10-ish than anything. And I'm like, no, he's still, I think, going to finish in the top 5 this year. So I'm all about buying Nico Collins if there's any sort of discount. And I'm more than happy paying a startup 20th price for him as well.
And it's funny because I think a lot of the issue obviously is we always talk about the baseline with these guys coming in, like CeeDee Lamb. he was a highly sought after player coming in as a prospect. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, not to the Neighbors and CeeDee Lamb level, but certainly higher than a Nico Collins was. Took a few years and then finally really broke out. And I think so. There's that. I always talk about the baseline from where the value these players came from, but then just the way that offense was in 2024. And I feel like part of that is affecting his value, even though we saw, I mean, a tremendous season from him. So let's get into some of the trades, Mitch. Let's start with you. Nico Collins for Kyron Williams, 311 and 411. 12
Nico.
teams, start 11, full PPR. It doesn't matter.
Nico.
Mitch is taking Nico. That's an easy Nico for me.
Yeah, same here. Houston's going to figure this offense out. They got nowhere to go but up, I like to believe.
But even if they don't figure it out, I think Nico is still a player that we can be happy to invest in.
Yeah, it's good if they don't figure it out. I'm okay with it.
Enough production. No, they got to figure it out because they still had to throw last year, Mitch, I think, in there. They're just play calling was so bad and so uncreative. And I think that's got to get a little bit better to get the ball in Nico's hands. A little more manufactured, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Nico Collins in the 303. And this is a 12-team start 11 full PPR, extra point for tight ends. Nico Collins in 303 or Ricky Pearsall, 26 first and 26 second.
Nico.
Same.
Drew drops an interesting comment here. Nico went for $15 more than CD in the DD auction draft happening right now.
I wish I was in there.
But I would like to know, like, it depending on the timing of when these players are nominated, like things can get a little funky.
Just real quick, it'll take me like 2 minutes to get through it, but did an auction through the Discord. If anyone wants to join a league, join the Discord mainly so you can get in leagues that are all over the place. Did an auction draft. I saved money from the startup to use in the auction, right? But I had the most money and I let everyone else bid on GNT and everybody else, right? But I had a lot of
you could carry over startup money to the rookie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's how this worked for just the startup year, right? But if you look on the actual notes, I'm getting players for like 20 when GNT went for like 65. But the only reason that is because no one else had any money left. And so like all I had to do was spend 20 because nobody had 20. So any player I wanted, I just started to bid at 20 and I automatically got them. So the auction thing's always, a little weird.
Yeah, and it looks like Drew's mentioning here, that's kind of what happened. So yeah, Nico for me. Did we say that already?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's stack this one up. 12 teams, start 10 full PPR, extra point for tight ends. Nico Collins and CJ Stroud for Bo Nix, Chris Olave, and 107.
Give me the stack.
Could you imagine this trade?
No.
Before week 1, or even better, like post week 1 or week 2 when Bo Nix just got off to a rough start?
Like the week 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with the stack too. I so wish Chris Olave, if it wasn't all these concussions, that potentially could be a really nice catch, but nah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go CJ Stroud here, guys. Is there any change if it's +4 for quarterback or for passing touchdowns, +6? Any change there?
No.
Okay. 12 teams, start 11, full PPR. Nico Collins in a 26th third or Baker Mayfield?
Nico.
I think roster construction's the key there. I'd probably lean Nico, but there's a scenario where I think Baker could be very helpful, and I'd want him as my quarterback. If that avoids me getting anybody in the bottom tier of quarterbacks, like 25 through 32, I would take Baker.
Oh, I couldn't. Not straight up. Like, I know there's a 26th third here, but especially in a start 11 where the position players even get a little bit more of a boost compared to quarterbacks, it might be minimal, but there's still a little boost there. I don't care if it's start 10. Like, I'm taking Nico. but that's just my journey.
I'm with you, Nico. Just the point, JB would be like, I'm not getting stuck with Derek Carr or Russ Wilson or Geno Smith or anything like that.
Dude, 2 times now you've knocked my man Russ Wilson. Just watch yourself, because there might be a little change here with the hosting arrangements moving forward. I don't know. All right, and last one, 12 team start 11 PPR, extra point for tight ends. Jawan Jennings, 107 and 401 for Nico Collins.
Nico.
If anything, like, I think this shows you there is a very attainable price point for Nico Collins. Even though you look at startups, yes, he goes that 208 range, but these price points, you're not paying that. I think some of them obviously a little bit closer than others, but even in existing leagues, I think if I have Nico tiered with St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, some of these, like Puka. I know Malik Neighbors, that you could get a very nice ad with the Neighbors or even Brian Thomas. But I think this shows that there is that discrepancy. Like, could you imagine any of these trades for Brian Thomas? Any of these trades for CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown? I don't think it happens. So I think that if you're looking to jockey for position and you're looking to pick up value elsewhere, you could pivot off of a lot of those pieces for a very nice, a nice plus. And not a knock on Jawan Jennings at his price. I love Jawan Jennings. Yeah. So, oh man. All right. Well, after the beating I took with Devon Achane, let me just talk about Ladd McConkey here for a minute. Trinity score last year, wide receiver 11 over the course of the season. He's going right back to back with Devon Achane. Startup pick, 27th overall. So the 303, 15.1 points per game last year. Week 8 on, 17.8 points per game. Week 13 on, 19.6 points per game. So he's getting better and better as the season went on. And you better believe I chose those cutoff points because it helped my take a little bit more. So yes, they were very strategically placed cutoff points to push my narrative. Okay. 39% air yard share, 24% target share, almost 5 yards after the catch per reception. First read percentage. This was interesting. CeeDee Lamb was at 31% last year. Ladd McConkey at 29%. The big thing with Ladd, health was a question coming out. It's going to be in the back of people's minds. He missed a lot of time in college. He left games early. And then I think the other rub is going to be passing volume. Okay. And then something that came up in the Discord, which I think it was a very fun and engaging conversation, was talking about Ladd McConkey, what his production was in 24 versus his expected points per game, and how he overachieved. But you look at the guys that overachieved last year: Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chase, Brian Thomas, Devontae Smith. They all were at 0.09 per route run over expected, at least 0.09. Ladd was at 0.11. And I know
good players overperform what average players do. It makes sense.
So I don't think that needs to be something that needs to concern a lot of people. And then 0.21 missed tackles force per reception. And you kind of see that translates to the almost 5 yards after the catch per reception. And 69% contested catch rate. So we're not, it wasn't a huge sample, but we're not talking 50-50 when it comes to Ladd McConkey. 0.54 fantasy points per route run. That was 10th. And you look at his rookie numbers and the peripheral metrics, he stacks up with some of the best when it comes to what he was able to do. So yes, the volume's a concern in that Los Angeles offense, but I don't think that should be a reason to deter anybody from looking to acquire a Ladd McConkey. And let's get into some of the trades. 12 teams start 10 PPR. Back-to-back times now, I got to go against my guy. And I got to be unbiased, but it's Ladd McConkey or Sam Darnold and Drake London. I don't think there's a big difference between London and McConkey, honestly. And you look at their price in startups and in existing leagues, London a little bit ahead of McConkey. So I couldn't do the Sam Darnold on top. Mitch?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mitch.
Dan,
Oh,
Mitch?
yeah, go ahead. Agree. Darnold in London.
Yeah, and you picked a guy I like this time, JB. Not that I didn't like Achane, but I see where you're going. But you definitely got dealt a bad hand with this first trade example. London's very close, if not better. As much as I mean, you could argue it, but Sam Darnold for free, I'm not getting that.
12 teams start 10 PPR. Lad McConkey or Saquon Barkley. I have them tiered together. Can I give a little bit of context? If I'm a true contender and Saquon Barkley is that difference maker at the running back position, I could go to Barkley. But if I'm in a startup and I got to choose at their price points, Barkley 23rd overall, Lad McConkey 27th, I would take McConkey at that price.
No, the trade's between the two. Two players.
I'm just saying, I just wanted to give a little bit extra context there. Like, I just think Barkley is a true difference maker, and it would be tough to pass on him, especially in an existing league where Barkley certainly is probably one of the centerpieces around my contending team.
I will take Barkley.
Yeah, I'll lean that way too there. That Eagles O-line still really good. Maybe we get lucky and the tush push gets banned and you get a couple more Barkley touchdowns.
That's a good point.
We'll see there. But, if we were talking startup and I had Bijan, Gibbs, or Genti, and I need to start 3 receivers, JB, maybe there's a path to McConkey there.
Frank calling me out here, and he's not wrong. JB weaseling out of his answer. I'm getting squirrely over here. Yes, I see Tim. He's got a trade out right now. Lad for Barkley. Based on that one, we'll keep us updated next week, Tim. Lad or Roma Dunze? I will take Lad straight up.
Same.
Yep.
And then last one. This is 12 teams, start 11 full PPR. JJ McCarthy, Lad McConkey, and the 110 or Joe Burrow. Why was I the only one to get trades involving elite quarterbacks? I'm going to take Joe Burrow.
I didn't have any of those. It was weird how that worked out. But yeah, I'm going to go Joe Burrow as well.
There's definitely a conspiracy in these show notes that Mitch put together. But now you can't get off that elite quarterback there. I really hope Kevin McConnell could discover McCarthy like he does every other quarterback, and then this trade would become interesting, but as of today, no way.
The big opportunity here for me, like Lad McConkey, I think it's in startups, because these existing leagues, like packaging up for the elite quarterback, like that's just not a move that I would be looking to move off of the high end quarterback. And then looking at the wide receiver position, the Lad for Rome, that's where I'm taking Lad straight up. I really think he's going to take even that next step if he stays healthy. But again, you could say that for any player. I think Lad is going to go on to produce even more so in 25 than he did in 2024. All right. For the 286th time on Dynasty Theory, Dan, final thoughts. What do you got for our listeners? And again, huge thank you to the live chat. Like, these dudes were in here from start to finish, even during the NCAA National Championship game. So huge thank you. Make sure you hit like and you subscribe to the channel. Sorry, Dan. Final thoughts.
All good, man. Chat was awesome. Pretty cool. We're creeping up on show 300. We're getting there. I'd always just short and long-term view here, man. April, May, and June, we're creeping up on that NFL draft, 17 days away. I just got to try to kill time until then. It can't come soon enough. Duke broke my heart. Rangers, my hockey team, choked. So, I got the Lakers swag on tonight, guys, with a little hope. Phillies are hopeful. WrestleMania in 12 days. But then after that draft, we hit this like very interesting time of like in real life NFL, it's rough. Like May and June is rough because we don't really get training camps into July. There's some little like mini rookie camps in May, so we might get a little glimpse of some of these rookies. But boy, it will be startup season, and I think we're gonna have some really awesome episodes of Dynasty Theory to look forward to. Just 17 days away, so can't wait.
Mitch, what do you got?
I'll just repeat. If you want to know which wide receivers and tight ends to get in Dynasty, join ddfantasyfootball.com. Go to the Trinity tool, look it up. It'll give you your answers.
All right. Again, huge thank you. Check out ddfantasyfootball.com. We got the War Machine. We got the Trinity tool. We got my cross-positional tiers. We got the DD Fantasy Football Discord community, which is going 24/7. A lot of great conversations, a lot of fun in there. So make sure you check it out and use code Theory, get 50% off. And man, did I hedge there on a lot of those McConkey ones. Oh my goodness. For Mitch Sorensen, Dan Lamagna, I'm John Bauer. We'll catch everybody next week. Peace.